And Sam, if you'll come on up, Sam Phillips from Samsung is going to complete the spiral and acquaint us with some of the latest developments in devices, which tend to be the shiny objects that get everyone excited. But again, all of this stuff is part of the larger ecosystem. Sam, welcome.
Thank you, Phil. When I actually got signed up for this this gig, and I thought it'd be a lot of fun to come down and have a conversation, and they were talking about enterprise solutions, and then all of a sudden it became wearables and connected environment. We'd just come back from visiting Samsung, what are they called? Digital City, which is Samsung Electronics in Suwon, Korea. And we have a very beautiful, something called Samsung Innovation Museum. And I was walking through it, I'm going, I need to take that, I need to take that, I need to take that, I need to bring them here. My favorite thing is that we've got if you get an opportunity, we've got it in a couple of cities around the world, the Samsung connected home, or smart home we're calling it. Everything's smart today. You know, the smart screen TVs, the smart screen, you know. So anyway, my favorite was we were in there and then she was turning on the air conditioner. We've got an in-room air conditioner, which is really cool. She's got the TV going. She changes the remote on the TV and she turns on the little robot vacuum cleaner, and it goes off and it's pulling around and it's bouncing off the walls or avoiding the walls. And then she shuts everything down, and the vacuum cleaner went around the room and then eventually came back and then found home and then connected itself in. But it was pretty interesting because it displayed that we could control the TV, we could control the washer, we could understand what was going on with our refrigerator, you know, the whole shooting match. My Samsung refrigerator today here, if I push the right buttons, will send a whole bunch of information around the problem that it's having to the service department. And then when the service guy shows up, he knows what parts he needs. So it's amazing where we're going and how quickly we're getting there. So I'm going to talk about Samsung wearables. And I've got a couple up here, and I actually have a couple on, and a few things like that. So I thought we would show. First up is watches. So everybody probably has, or most people will have a watch. And I found that as you start getting a little bit further down in the food chain, they don't have watches. My son, who's 21 years old, I bought him a watch 5 years ago, and he said, thanks, Dad. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, okay, that was pretty cool. I know where that's going. And sure enough, it's in the drawer beside his bed. But he uses his phone exclusively for the watch, for keeping track of what he's doing. So today, you know, more than 75% of the U.S. wears an analog device. The sales, you know, still pretty solid in that market and still growing, you know, doing fairly well. As we start moving into the smartwatches and into the electronic side of the equation and the connected watches, what you're starting to see is those numbers are starting to swap. So we're seeing a large movement. You can see on this one, we talk about, I don't need to get out and walk around and point at things. Can't do that. I'm supposed to stay right here. You can see, so if we start looking at the smartwatches, and we have 54% of the market. You know, why do we have 54% of the market? We have several different models out there. So you get to choose the kind of things. And I've got the Gear Fit, and then I've also got a Gear 2. We also have a Gear S, which will be out shortly, which actually has a 3G radio built into it. So you can connect it to your device and then leave your device, and then it will talk to your device over the 3G network. So some really interesting things. You say, so why would I want to do that? Well, you know, if I want to leave my phone at home, but I want to know when I get phone calls in on it, and you know, this will tell me. But you can also make phone calls on it, that kind of thing. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But we're starting to see that pick up, and then the penetration is still, you know, a lot of people are still asking the question, so why would I want one, and what would I do with it? And when we first started coming out with these, I was kind of going like this sort of the same thing. And I was able to get rid of a competing, well, actually sort of a competing product that was tied into my smartphone. And I'm able to track and be able to keep up with the number of steps I take, the number of calories I burn. I'm supposed to be putting in the number of calories I actually consume, but I'm not doing that. I don't want my wife to know just exactly how much food I eat or where I go when I go for dinner. So you can see that, and then you also have the activity trackers. So the smartwatches are starting to pick up on and becoming a multifunctional device. So they're starting to incorporate a lot of the data that you see within the activity trackers. Today, you know, the Gear Fit is or Gear Fit over here, and then the Gear 2 and the Gear Live. I track and can grab a lot of that information. So as I'm walking around, it's keeping track of the number of paces that I have and the distance that I go. It also can keep track of my heart rate. So I'll periodically start and stop and push a little button and it'll pick up the heart rate. GPS sport watches, that really falls into a really specialized field, and a lot of that is for running and for sports fitness training. A lot of that is starting to get consumed also back into the smartwatches as well. So from Samsung, these are the primary, what I would call wearables that we have if you want to exclude the phones themselves. We've got the Galaxy Gear, which was the original one that we put out. Very nice device. It had a camera built into it. It plugged into your smartphone. It leveraged the smartphone, provided you with a wealth of information. We moved then into what's called the Gear 2. So we changed the dynamics. We improved, went to an organic light emitting diode screen, so you had better resolution. You could see it a little bit better in the light. Accumulates a lot more information. You can install applications on it. It's kind of fun to mess around with the applications that you can put on it. It gives you with the alerts. So if your phone rings, you can answer it actually on the device if you want, or you can see who's calling and decide you don't want to answer it. My wife doesn't like that feature because if I'm in the middle of a meeting and I slide that little thing over and she gets a little note, and then you can send a little note saying, "Sorry, honey, I'm busy." You can use she goes, "Yeah, right, what were you doing?" And then we've got the Gear Neo. So the Gear Neo, the difference between the Gear 2 and the Gear Neo is the lack of camera and a few other little features built into it, but it's still very useful. The Gear Fit, one of the interesting things, and I didn't know this, sorry, I have to do this, is the Gear Fit, you notice that's a little round. We had to build a round screen. We also had to build a curved battery. So there's quite a bit of unique and interesting technology built into it. On the back of it, it's got sensors, and you can see the lights come on when you move it around, so you can pick it up and you can detect it. But the sensors on the back are what keep track of a lot of the information, so some of your health information, things along those lines. We also released the Gear 3. That will be out shortly. This is the one that also that connects in through the 3G network and leverages that particular network to talk to your other devices. It also leverages Bluetooth, so you can use the Bluetooth to connect to your device, and then you don't have to really depend upon the 3G environment for maintaining that data. And then one that we came out with that was announced on the 4th of September was Gear VR. And it takes the twin of this device, which is the Note Edge. I'll turn it on, this is kind of fun. You notice on the edge? So we've moved a lot of the information was at the bottom and at the top, and we've put it over on the edge. But you put this on the inside, and on the inside of the goggles, and you can play games, you can use it for tracking information. We've had a lot of conversation with our friends in the US government and in the military for doing virtual reality things. They have something called NetWarrior, and where you've got a little device and you can look down and you can see everything that's going on the battlefield. But you can also do this with the virtual reality box. So the features out of the 2 and the Neo, you can see you've got a whole bunch of things. The bands are interchangeable now. We've changed that. Your platform, it's water and dust resistant. It's really kind of fun because everybody, when we first got them in, everybody had to go in and stick them under the water. My favorite was the folks that are standing around and they're talking on their phone in the bathroom, and it goes into the toilet. And it's like, oh geez, I gotta wash it off. And I was like, yeah, I don't think you can ever get it clean enough for me. Frequent that kind of stuff. It has a couple of different, it's got mics and speakers, so they're all built into the interface. The AMOLED display is really quite nice and very clear. You can even see it in the sunlight. It adjusts to the light. One of the interesting things that is kind of fun, and I actually started doing this. I don't usually use remotes because I don't watch a lot of TV, but built into the device is a remote. And so you aim it at your TV, and there's an application that runs on it. So let's say you like reality shows, and I don't like reality shows, actually cooking shows. Let's pick cooking shows. You like cooking shows, and you've got a specific one, and let's say it's Bobby Frey, right? You get Bobby, and you put that in, and it will track all of his shows. You pick it, you push the button, and it'll tell you what's on right now. Push the button, and it dials your TV. So some really interesting things that you can do on that. The Gear Fit is really more for people who are focused in on activity and on exercise and on healthcare. It has less of the features. It's lighter and it's easier to use and easier to haul around. And I've got a couple of these up here, and after we're done, you can certainly come up and take a look at them. We've got two different lines at this point in time. So Samsung has a product called Tizen, and Tizen is an operating system that we're building into a lot of our connected platform. It allows us to manage and to really go lightweight on the things that we need to do on a particular platform. So across the top, you can see the different things that you can do with the Tizen environment. We've got standalone music player, which is built into both the phone as well as into the headsets that play. The smart remote feature that I talked about that works very, very well. The fitness tracker, and lately we've teed up with several people on fitness coaching. So again, how many calories did you eat? How many miles did you walk? How much time have you spent up? How much time have you slept? That kind of thing. And it comes back and helps you really kind of figure out what your life is about. We're doing the same thing as well with the Gear Live. So again, that's leveraging Android Live. So we're really trying to make sure that we're working quite well in that space as well and have the same capabilities and the same features. So the key needs from wearables today, people are using them for a whole host of things. The primary thing that we see a lot of our team using them for is rather than having to fish their phone out, because we've got, in a lot of meetings you go into within Samsung, phones have to stay away. Otherwise everybody spends their whole life playing with their phones. What was it we used to call us the smartphone prayer, where you see everybody doing like this and nobody's watching or paying attention. And so now you can just kind of gradually look at your watch and you can see the meetings you're missing, you can see who sent your email, you can see what phone numbers have popped up, and if you need to call them back, things along those lines. So really it's keeping track of a ton of this kind of stuff. Convenience and ease of use, again, touch screen displays with many applications. You get to pick and choose the applications installed, what's valuable to you and how you want to do it. We can also leverage S-Voice, Samsung Voice, which is akin to Google Now and to Siri and to, I apologize, I don't remember what the Windows version is, but
Cortana.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I apologize. Actually, it's kind of cool. So anyway, you can push that and you can ask it to do things that will tell you information and feedback, and then it connects in and makes sure that it keeps track of a whole bunch of information, graphs what's going on, and you can store all of that information on your smartphone. You can also download the information into other apps on your PCs, things of that nature. So really, the wearables market is growing. I don't think we know what the total wearables market is. It's still very, very, very early on. I think we're understanding what some of the things are that make wearables sticky. And I think what we're doing is finding out what things are actually really good. My wife now asks me, so did you get your 10,000 steps in today? And if I don't answer correctly, she'll walk over and she'll look at the device and she'll go, no, you only hit 9,000, so you need to go out and walk another 1,000. So those kinds of things, you're starting to see a lot of that, and the traction is starting to pick up. Over the next little while, we've got new devices and more devices coming in. Samsung has a healthcare division. We make a whole bunch of different kinds of things, from heart monitors to MRIs to a whole host of things. As we start understanding better and more along the lines of what people want, what people need, those things will start showing up in our devices. That's it. Thank you.